Alright, what's going on, friends? This is Logan with West Desert Wheeler, and today we're going to be taking a look at my We Rock competition that I went to during Trail Hero in 2024. This was on Friday. It was an event that they held, and there are multiple classes in We Rock. So, me and my buddy Connor, you can find Connor on Instagram. His RC page is Portal Killer RC. We entered the competition, and my car truthfully fits into what they call rear steer trail buggy class, but for this event there were not enough rear steer trail buggies signed up that it would make it interesting, so I convinced the other car, the single other car, that we should run unlimited, and that was actually Logan Backus, and he was all for running unlimited. It's just a little bit more of a challenge, and we're up against a larger crowd of very talented drivers, so it's a lot more fun to actually compete and see who can actually do better on course. So in total we had 15 unlimited drivers out here in Sand Hollow, and we're gonna go dodge some gates. We've only got 3 courses to run. Typically in We Rock you get 4 courses and 2 days of competing, and then there's a shootout at the end. For Trail Hero, they just simplify it down, so it's 3 courses, no shootout. However you do on the 3 courses is where you place for this event. It's a little bit lower stress event as far as We Rock is concerned. Just overall, more of a fun environment. It's not super serious. It's not part of their championship points or anything like that. And it gives people like me the opportunity to come out and try We Rock and see how it goes. So this is my first year of owning a buggy where I had the opportunity to do it. My car is extremely capable. It's just a bit wider than some of the moon buggies are that are like at the absolute top end of being competitive in the Pro Unlimited class, which is what I'm competing in. So as you can see here, this shot, my car is very close to both cones. Now, other cars are built narrower than mine so that they can dodge the cones better. It gives them more options between the gates of exactly where they want to place their tires. And as far as the width goes, my car should be about 84 to 85 wide. Whereas someone like Dave Long's car is something like 72 inches wide or something like that. So he's significantly narrower than my car is. So it's a challenge for me to get my bigger car through these gates, but I don't really care. I'm just here to have some fun. Now, unfortunately, right here I go to turn my rear steer, I decide where I want to go, and we end up clipping a cone. So that was on me. I turned my rears at the wrong moment. Connor was on his way to go up and around to spot for me up top. And as he was running up, I turned my rear steer on my own, not realizing I was that close to the gate, and ended up hitting a cone here. So my car is a Hulsey Engineering 3-seat chassis car. It's a Hulsey Engineering chassis. And then I've got portal axles with rear steer, 42-inch tall tires. They're BFG crawlers. I've got trail-ready wheels. My main sponsor is Utah Air Guns. Those guys are super awesome. They're based out of Orem, Utah. If you are looking to get, honestly, a great trainer rifle for maybe a younger shooter, or even, just going and having some fun, or pest control, Utah Air Guns can get you taken care of. They have a lot of really cool options, so be sure to check them out. We're going for a bonus gate here on course 1, and I got lined up and gave it just a little bit of throttle to try and get it up. I didn't want to go too crazy, because you don't want to get out of control trying to bump up this. Now I'm kind of trying to crawl it and search for some traction. My front driver tire gets pretty good traction over there, but as I keep turning driver, it's pulling me towards the gate on the driver's side, which you don't want to touch the cone, obviously. Now, yeah, I'm just working it out, trying to see what's going on, and then I decide, you know what, maybe it's time to go ahead and just take it back up and hit this a little bit harder and see if we can get the car to go up it. I believe I was in first gear for this as well, so just trying to crawl it. Connor's running back and forth, making sure I'm clear on these cones. He did a really awesome job. This is his first time spotting for anybody on course, and it's a very important job as part of a team, so I really want to say thanks to Connor for coming out and giving me a hand. Again, I think he did an awesome job, so he kept us off the cones as best we could, and overall I'm really happy with how we ended up finishing. We'll talk about that more towards the end. So again, just kind of going to try and get my car positioned to be able to bump up this a little bit, maybe a little more momentum. Hit it just a little bit harder. Made some pretty good progress. I had to let off for a second, and then the car just kind of stopped making forward progress. Now there is a time limit on these courses, and the time limit is 10 minutes, which I tell you what, goes by really quick when you're trying to rock crawl through some technical gates. So unfortunately, wasn't able to get up this bonus gate. So I just decided, you know what, let's just go ahead and back out of this one. We'll take the regular gate and continue on through the course, because it's a huge points difference if you finish the course or if you did not finish a course. Now backups are counted as some penalties here. It is 1 point for each reverse, and I've taken a few reverses to try and make it up that bonus, which would be worth it if we got through the regular bonus. But I can tell you what, backing out of it and saving the time to finish the actual course is well worth that penalty. So as long as I can get to the finish line, we're going to be way better off than if we time out just continuing to try a bonus that the car doesn't really want to do. Now looking back on this footage, I could have been a little more aggressive with it, but it was my first course and I didn't want to get too crazy out there. Again, carrying just a little bit of momentum just to make sure those rears pop up how I want, and then working our way over. Now in We Rock, it's really a big advantage to be able to see your competitors run before you. That way you can see, hey, what are some of the lines that other people are taking, and hey, are these gates actually possible? How scary does it really look from the outside when these cars are going off the bonus gates and doing, you know, intimidating looking things? So right here, I'm taking my time waiting right here. I'm having Connor get himself positioned so he can get me lined up for this gate. Once I put the car in reverse, that's a penalty. If I end up putting it back in drive and then having to take another reverse, it's 2 penalties. So right here, I still had room before the banner. I was like, hey man, if I need to continue forward, let me know, which I do right there in rear wheel drive only, and before I put it in reverse. So now we're committed. He says, okay, you're ready for a backup, go ahead and put it in reverse. So there's my 1 penalty. I don't necessarily want to go back and drive at this point if I can avoid it. So this is a bonus gate. It's a big drop, and we're gonna go ahead and reverse down into it. So for this bonus gate, we're gonna go ahead and reverse down into it. So the advantages of this is that my car has a forward weight bias, so keeping the forward weight of the car up on the ledge longer keeps me in control better. I've also got great rearward visibility, and I've also got rear steering, so I can kind of treat it as if, you know, it's my front steering when I'm backing up. It's really no disadvantage to go backwards. It's just a little bit hard to kind of crank your head around and see exactly where you need to go, but it is also more comfortable when you land off a big drop coming back down backwards, because you're pushed into your seat where you're sitting, versus if you go forward. I have water in my front tires, and it's more of a hydraulic function rather than being an air-filled tire, and it's a really hard hit. So Connor's telling me I can continue backing up, and he told me right there, don't back up anymore, because I knew there was a gate down there behind me, and I didn't want to hit it. So just working the car around, that was our final gate for the course. Now we just get to kind of cruise out to the finish, make sure we get out on time. And there we go, our first course, we made it all the way through and we got out on time. Overall, I'm really happy with how we performed. Now speaking of watching other competitors go before you, I ended up following Brett Dickey here, who was a 15-year-old driver, but he has way more competition experience than myself. Again, this is my first comp, so it was good to see him take the line that he did here. We were watching people struggle with the standard gate for gate number 1 here, whereas Brett did the line that we're going to do right here. You can see that I'm lining up straight towards this yellow cone, which is a bonus. Bonus gates are -10 as far as just getting through a bonus gate. Now to hit a cone is 10 points. So if I can run over this bonus cone, but also get through the bonus gate, then it will essentially become a wash. Whereas if you go through a normal gate, like gate number 1 down on the right, in that crack, if I were to go in there and hit the cone, but still get through the gate, I'm 10 points down, versus if I hit the bonus gate and make it through the bonus, then it's a 0-point washout. So it doesn't really hurt my overall score, which we ended up believing that this was just gonna be a better option for us to try and actually just get up this wall. Now it is a big wall, and it's kind of rounded on top. So you'll see me get up top here, and I'm kind of trying to drive the car around without getting too sideways either way. Connor did a great job throwing some rocks down there under my tire. He's making sure that I'm lined up where I want to be, and I'm going to go ahead and bump this thing pretty aggressively. Now unfortunately, it kind of just went straight to the skid plate. It didn't really allow the car to do a whole lot there. So now I'm going to try and work my way over a little bit to the right and try and square up to the wall on the right side and try and shoot up the wall a little more right than how we originally had the car set. I do need to send a thank you to quite a few people who helped make my car pass tech. As far as the communications between me and Connor, unfortunately right there I left that in rear wheel drive only. That was a mistake on my behalf. I felt pretty bad about that. Just kind of a rookie move. It was kind of funny. But as far as the communications go, those were borrowed from our friend Randall. So thank you very much, RD. I greatly appreciate it, dude. And it was actually, he's part of Team LaserNut. So thanks to LaserNut as well for letting us borrow those comms. Right there, I almost had it up there, but it started to kind of cut left. And as a driver, I got a little bit nervous, and it wasn't feeling great the direction it was heading. It probably would have driven up and out of that if I would have stayed in it, but unfortunately I backed off because I just got a little bit nervous there. Out from the outside of the car, it doesn't look like anything at all, but inside the car, it really felt like my front end was kind of washing off to the left, which was making me a bit nervous. And after these bumps, I am able to kind of maneuver the car in ways to try and get it re-squared up without taking too many reverses, but unfortunately you just have to back up to be able to bump it. And this is a big wall with a big sandy bottom at the base of it, so it's hard to get traction to really push the car up and over. There's not a great hook up top for the fronts to really grab hold of to get this thing up and over, unless you hit it with some momentum to get those fronts to reach higher. There it is, under throttle, and we made it up the top of the bonus with only hitting the left side bonus gate, so essentially that becomes a wash. It ate quite a bit of time, but we were able to make it up and over, so that's pretty cool. Also need to send a thanks to my buddy John from Mad Cow Racing, a fellow We Rock competitor. Unfortunately, he was unable to get to this competition because of the Trailbreaker qualifier. He ended up breaking his car during that, unfortunately. So he was unable to make it out for the day, but he helped me cut out a driver door panel. It's something small for other people, but for me it really meant a lot. So thank you very much, John, for taking your time and helping me get my car set up for We Rock. He's a great competitor, and I'm hoping to see him standing on top of the podium one of these days and maybe holding a national title at some point. That'd be pretty sweet. Thanks to my buddy Jason for letting me borrow a second fire extinguisher for my car. In We Rock, you have to have 2 fire extinguishers. You have to have a DOT helmet. You have to have a door panel and a window net. So thanks to Mike Brassanini, yet again, another fellow competitor there. Mike was out there actually spotting for his son, and Coulter was driving in a different class of car. Coulter was out there in his new Holsey car, and they did excellent in Sportsman, but they let me borrow a window net here for Pro, so greatly appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. And then Mike's other son, Sawyer, was actually part of the team with Brett, who really kicked ass out there and ended up on the podium. I believe they took second place in this We Rock, so big congrats to them. Brett and Sawyer did an excellent job. A couple of young guns, I think they're 15 and 16 maybe a little bit older, but yeah, pretty damn awesome out there that these young guns are out there. And I mean, they're kicking people's ass like me who don't know what they're doing, but they're also beating people who do know what they're doing, which is pretty funny. It's pretty awesome. Those kids are wildly talented. This gate, I just wanted to carry a little momentum, make sure that I get my rears up, get the car to stick. I didn't want to mess around with trying to wiggle my way through on this gate. I just carried just enough momentum to get the car up. Nice and smooth. Car responded exactly how I wanted it to. So now we're working our way over to our final gate for the course and a big bonus, which is a large drop. But getting yourself set up for the drop, you have to put a pile of rocks that are kind of naturally formed here under the bottom of the center of the car. So fortunately I have portal axles to reach up and over that, but I was still hitting differentials in the bottom of my car while backing down this. So again, making sure I'm getting a call from Connor that I'm good to go ahead and put it in reverse. Before I do, I still had room up top to kind of make some corrections if necessary, but he gave me the green light, go ahead and back up, and so that's what I started doing. Now, the landing on this reverse is off camber, so that can do weird things to cars when you land down there and maybe your rear passenger tire hits first. It's going to try and shove the front end of the car over to the driver. It's going to make the car go square with whatever the ground is, essentially. So I knew that was going to be an issue, but I also didn't realize that it was going to take a big rock down there with me as I back off of this. I saw that it was kind of precariously there, but I just wasn't sure if it was going to break off when I came down or not. And unfortunately, it came with me. But right here, I have the car in rear wheel drive only, in reverse, so that when it hits the ground, I'm ready to throttle out. And holy crap, I can tell you what, that was a ride right there. It was a really strange feeling going that vertical in the car and then feeling the whole front end just whip over to the right. I ended up not having my locker on, and the car just ripped right over to the right side, which pointed me straight towards the exit, which did work out pretty nice. I was pretty stoked about that. Right there, definitely a high point of the Wee Rock course. Super excited that I didn't roll my car there in competition and that everything worked out great. So pretty damn awesome. You can also see on my door panel I've got stickers for Sky RC Hobby Shop in St. George, Utah, as well as UC Fab, who's standing right here in frame. That's Kyle from UC Fab. He had his moon buggy out there, which is an absolutely beautiful car. And yeah, it was fun to be out there on the rocks with that guy. All right, guys, third and final course. We had to shoot up this hill to get ourselves set up better for our gate number 1. Gate number 1's very technical. You have to get into this crack, and then they have a cone placed in the low spot of the canyon where Connor's working here, and just really hard to get the car to kind of twist up and work its way through here. Now, I do notice in this footage that we did make a big mistake as far as my car is concerned of just we forgot to loosen up my front winch, so I've limited my suspension travel in the front end of the car. If I had let that out, the car would have twisted up a lot more, whereas right now it's teetering, and going through here, the car is going to teeter a few times, which ends up really hurting us here on this course. Didn't quite get the tire placed where I needed to, but instead of hitting a 10-point gate, we're like, okay, let's just take a 1-point backup. And I had told Connor before we started, just overall like, hey man, I don't really care about reverses. Those are pretty cheap as far as points go. Let's take a backup if we need to take a backup. Let's play it smart. Let's just try to get to the finish line in a time-efficient manner. So working my way through here. Again, there's a cone down on the bottom. You can barely see the top of it sitting down there. And again, I'm limiting my car's suspension travel. My car would absolutely twist up more than this if that winch was not tight right now. Which is something we can learn from, right? Later on, maybe we'll not make that mistake again. Maybe we will. We'll see what happens. So right there, I can no longer turn driver, or I will drive into the high side cone. And then we got the low side cone. Now the judge makes a call here that Connor and I are both not very happy with. When my car is teetering, you're not allowed to have a tire float up and over a cone. So right here, the car is going to teeter back a little bit. Connor told me I need to back up once more. Now my front tire's up in the air. Judge yells cone. Connor's not convinced it was. Not real happy about it. We're kind of just sitting here burning time. But the low side cone was the pain in the ass one. So at this point, I'm like, all right, man, we'll just drive out of here. My rears can now just run over that low side cone. That's not going to hurt anything. But I don't want to hit the top side cone. So I kind of just pulled the car through. But overall, I don't fully agree that I had floated that cone as far as my tire being like directly over it. Not much I can do at this point. It's okay. It's my first comp. Stuff happens. That's why we're here to play this game. Yeah, we're all here to hit cones essentially. We don't like when we do, but that's how you separate the field anyway. So now this one. This is our third and final course. I told Connor I wanted to stack some rocks here. He did a great job getting some rocks piled up for us. And then I wanted to work my way up to this bonus. Now there are two bonuses here kind of in a row. We're gonna go up this big ledge, and then we're gonna turn right and go down an aggressive crack that is also a bonus. But the up bonus here is really nasty, and I had watched Brett just absolutely hammer on his car to get his up and over, and unfortunately he tagged a gate on the way up and over. But again, getting back to the bonus thing, if you hit a cone and you clear the bonus, it's a wash. So essentially didn't really hurt Brett's score other than he didn't get the bonus progression and get the -10. He just got a 0 as he worked his way through. My car struggling to get the traction to push its way up right here. I try some different things, but ultimately it comes down to I need to get my left rear on the rock to be able to push that front end up over these rocks. And I can assure you, it feels a lot wilder in the car where your front end's hopping like that. It's really shaking you around when you do that. I don't feel like I'm hurting the car. It's just a bit of a rough ride. I got my front end to come up right here, but unfortunately I'll hit the gate if I do that. I'm trying RC tricks here where I'm shaking my steering around, trying to get the car to settle back down without actually taking a reverse, moving my rear steer, and the car does wiggle down just slightly, but overall the steering in these is a little too slow to get them to aggressively kind of change their path. So ultimately we end up taking a reverse and just resetting our position after some efforts to try and get it positioned how we want without taking a reverse. There, going from 4-wheel drive back to front-wheel drive. It's just not quite in a spot where my tires have the traction that they can front burn up and around. So I take the reverse finally, and I knew that, hey, I've got some rocks on my driver's side on the rear. I'm going to use those to my advantage, get me some more traction versus the sand under my tires. There it is, it creates a pinch, pops the car right up, works great. Now from here, I know that I need to bump this thing super aggressive to make it up and over. I put the car in second gear, I make sure that I'm lined up correctly, have Connor double check my positioning. And I believe we're actually gonna stack rocks again. So we're just kind of sitting here hanging out and gonna burn a little bit of time, but having this little bit of rocks here to kind of create a ramp should really help us out as far as getting the car to pop up and over this wall. The goal here is to get the skid plate high enough that the car rocks forward and allows the front tires to pull us up and over this gate. Again, Connor doing a great job, hustling, getting rocks under the car, getting me positioned where I need to be for this bump, and we're going to get aggressive with it here. Second gear, full throttle. Almost worked, showered everybody in dust here. There's just a big sand pile up top. And from this point, the car is not going to crawl this. So it's just like, all right, we got to take our reverse and try and get up here. So I take the reverse, using my rear steer to position the car where I need. Connor's helping guide me as far as where he wants the car to be. I have him verify that that's where it needs to be for us to bump through this again. And like, to the floor, second gear pinned, car pops up and over, rear tires to the top, didn't touch a gate. Awesome, I'm super excited. Now I'm gonna try and just go immediately right down into this next bonus. It probably would have been wiser to go left. We had some room up there to play with. Basically spin a donut and then come down this crack, but I knew that the car could do it if I got it set up right. I'm trying to use rear wheel only to get the car to pivot around. But I'm really looking for something on my front driver tire to make sure that that front driver tire doesn't get pushed along the rocks. I was hoping to put it up against a wall of some kind to help that rear kind of maneuver around a bit. Steering a little bit to try and get that thing to shift and move. It's slowly working. And now we've got a big aggressive drop for this bonus. While walking courses, I actually got really excited about all this. Nothing really scared me other than that last course bonus drop, but I had seen it done and I was like, okay, it's possible. It's just going to be a wild ride. This one, when I looked at it, I was like, absolutely, my car can handle this. I know that I can do this. I had Connor's pot for me, making sure I got my front lined up right, and then you just kind of let off the brakes and throttle out a bit just to make sure that the car is ready to go. So now we have one more gate to get through, but we're low on time. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. Connor helping stack rocks next to the cone just to try and keep me off of it. But coming down on this angle, this car does not want to climb this ledge on this angle. And right there, I could really feel the car's pissed off. It doesn't want to do that. Almost at the cone there. Again, we're real low on time. And I asked him, I was like, hey man, can I fit between the cone and the wall? He told me no. So I tried to just basically reposition myself better to get my front passenger up on the wall. It doesn't want to do it in front wheel drive only. I have to drive it in there with 4-wheel drive. This time we find the right pinch and it pops the car up. And my rear comes up. As the front comes down, I didn't pay attention to that right rear, and I end up just absolutely pancaking that cone with my right rear tire. But overall, we ended up taking 5th place out of 15 drivers. We had an absolute blast of a time out there on the rocks. Thanks again to Connor. Thanks again to my sponsors. I greatly appreciate it. You guys can follow me on Instagram at West Desert Wheeler. We will see you guys on the next one. Keep the rubber side down.